I don't think so, honestly. Okay, this might sound weird, but that I said I don't think so. I don't think it starts with let's create something around nostalgia or let's create something around a particular genre. I think that today Can is about solving the biggest problems with creativity, right? So when people kept talking about impact, it's about solving some of the world's biggest problems with creativity. And then creativity is the starting point to solving any big problem that nobody solved, right? Today, you make money as a business when you solve a big problem. Businesses by design are like, can I solve this big problem? And therefore, that business, when they solve that problem, they make a lot of money, right? We as creative businesses need to understand that today, no matter what, if we solve big problems and say India has a gazillion problems, right? We have potholes, we have pollution, who's going to go and solve those problems? Because every big problem has some company that could potentially want to solve that problem because it's in their interest to solve that problem. And you as a creative shop need to then not only think like a creative person, but think like, or a creative organization, but think, how can I structurally, infrastructure wise solve this and have the business actually back it because it's in their interest? When you can go do that, right, and have large enough scale, then you're no longer just about how do I make the best film. This is not the Oscars, right? This is about saying how do I solve the biggest problems in the world, because those are what businesses do, or the biggest opportunities in the world with creativity at the start, and then actually with many other facets. So the new creative businesses are not about just saying genre or thing. The next year of wins won't again come because now cans have become the can has become very stringent, right? We had like 500 pre-checks before, checking every fact, everything, calling up the, multiple stakeholders, this most senior leadership from the client, actually sharing published data reports with them. It wasn't just we can claim something on a case study and it'll happen. So first the juror obviously is convinced with the problem solution, how you've done it and how you rolled it out. And then after that, they're looking at 500 things to prove that you've actually done it. It's literally going through an interrogation over a long period of time to actually see if you won. So it's not just come up with better ideas and just perfect your craft anymore. Those are table stakes. You've got to go way beyond that. So I think the new creative businesses need to solve big problems because businesses do that. When they do that and marry those with businesses and do it really, really well, that's when they potentially could win awards like this. But the outcome should never be the reason you go for this. I never was wanting to try and win a can. I wasn't even attempting to win it. But it happened as a result of doing meaningful work. And when you do meaningful work, of course, some good outcomes come from it, right? So we're still driven by doing the most amount of meaningful work. Absolutely not. Okay, so look, I mean, the case study is a great way to speak to a lot of different people. Not everybody has the same taste, right? So I don't agree with the fact that there shouldn't be a case study. How else do you evaluate whether this is something worth watching or not, right? If it's just film, you'll watch maybe a trailer. You don't, you won't watch anything else beyond the point, and then you decide I want to watch this film or not. So I think the case study is more like saying, do I make the cut? Am I interested enough to inquire? Because it doesn't end with a case study. You don't get the shortlist just because they like the case study. You get the shortlist because they've done 500 checks after the fact to qualify whether you are worthy of a shortlist after the case study. So the case study is just a trailer, right? And so what is the best way to speak to people who have different tastes? Because our business has been dictated by subjectivity. The best way to do that is to give them a snapshot of everything that you've done. And then they can take the decision. But if you're going to perfect spending months on trying to make the most beautiful case study and you're trying to shoot it in, we are filmmakers. 99% of the films that Humour Me is done, we're also filmmakers, have also been done by us. We've directed them, we built them, we scored the music on our own, right? We're not just people who are just thinking about the marketing or owning the business, but we're actually building the creative product as well. So we're going to spend months deliberating on the case study. We didn't. We spent 7 days on the case study. We didn't do what the others did, right? But we knew that we had to tell the story correctly. We had to tell people what this was about. And they would get it because this was a universal problem. And it was an India problem that was very much universally understood, right? And that's what you will start with. That's a hard one. I don't know. I think it'll be cliched, but I don't know. I think I would say, I would call it the big short in many ways because it'll be the biggest year probably next year because we've had the low year. So we'll have the big year, but I think It'll be done by short format or short, smaller companies, independents. So I would say the small giants, it'll be small giants. So independent companies doing the biggest work in the world and redefining or rethinking how the industry works. Large doesn't mean essentially the West. The small giants could potentially rule and set the new benchmarks for the world. Yeah.